This is Monkey World in Dorset, the largest ape and monkey rescue centre on the planet. Today on Monkey Life, Chimp Ben has a nasty foot injury and Jeremy is worried.
Obviously it's going to hurt, but we do have him on a lot of pain relief, so I'm sure it'll still be uncomfortable, but it won't be too horrendous.
In Paddy's chimp troop, it may be his dad who's the boss, but Bart is beginning to realise he's pretty important too. And Keeper Holly checks on Susie, the oldest captive woolly monkey in the world.
Because she's old, she's got a few funny little ways. She won't do anything unless you make a really big deal of it. Oh, good girl! There we go.
Monkey World is home to 248 primates. Each and every one of them needs to be cared for when they get ill or injured. Inside Hananya's chimp house, animal director Jeremy is checking up on Ben, who has an extremely nasty foot infection.
He had a wound on his foot, which wasn't too horrendous at all, quite a normal chimpy sort of wound on the foot. But it's actually become infected. We've got this very badly swollen skin loss and inflammation.
The wound started as a tiny cut that he got during one of his meetings with alpha male Hananya. But unfortunately, his foot rapidly became swollen and infected. And on top of that, Ben won't leave it alone.
Don't do that.
It's a major setback for Ben's introduction to Hananya's group, just when the meetings were starting to show some promise. However, Ben's health is now the priority. Jeremy needs to ensure the blood is still circulating to Ben's toes. If it isn't, he could lose them, or worse, his whole foot.
Have a look at your foot. Have a look. Let's feel how warm your toes are. This one is the coldest. And that one isn't quite so cold. Poor little boy.
Even though it's a bad infection, chimpanzees are very resilient.
He's been remarkably well, because as you can see, it's a pretty horrendous thing. He's getting a bit tired now, but he's eating well, and he's, you know, just giving a bit of TLC, which is a bit of, he likes this. You know, this is obviously going to help him. Obviously, it's going to hurt, but we do have him on a lot of pain relief, so I'm sure it'll still be uncomfortable, but it won't be too horrendous. You know, the fact that he's eating, the fact that he's communicating with me and everything else is a good indication that it isn't too bad at the moment.
But an infection this severe isn't going to get better by itself. So the park's vet has prescribed antibiotics for Jeremy to administer.
You all right with that? No, it's okay. No problem.
Ben has never had an injection before, and he's a bit scared of the needle. But with such a bad infection, it's vital that Ben gets treated one way or another.
Give me your arm. Come here. My options are to hand inject him with a syringe or to dart him. Well, obviously, a hand injector is nicer than a dart. But if I can just get him comfortable with this, it might just give me the edge to... See? It's only a bit of a... No problem. There, look. There. Good boy. See? That didn't hurt. I didn't even touch you.
Jeremy knows how important this injection is, and he's not giving up yet.
Oh, huh? You got half your foot hanging off and you're worried about that? What you like? See?
This is not the first time that Jeremy's had to deal with a serious infection.
No, you're not allowed to eat it.
18 months ago, over in the Bachelor Boy enclosure, 24-year-old Jimmy had an equally nasty injury. Just like Ben's foot, it started as a minor wound, which became infected and got much worse as he picked at it.
Jim leg. Good boy.
But because of Jeremy's unique relationship with the animals at the park, he could get up close with Jimmy to ensure he had the treatment he needed, often risking his own safety.
I reckon I can go in with him.
And now Jimmy's knee has fully healed, and he seems to have put his troubles behind him. Hopefully, Jeremy can do the same for Ben and help him pull through. But later, Ben can't overcome his fear of needles, so Jeremy has another idea.
Just playing with this syringe here, it's just not going to happen. Whereas if I can lull him against the mesh and then one of the girls can trick him.
And orangutan Dinda struggles to overcome a bad case of vertigo. At the woolly monkey enclosure, keeper Holly is letting Lavar's family of 7 outside for the morning. It gives Holly the ideal opportunity to check everyone over, especially 36-year-old Susie.
Well, this is Susie, and she's our oldest woolly monkey here, and she's also the oldest woolly monkey in the whole world on record in captivity, which makes her very, very special indeed. And because she's old, she's got a few funny little ways. She likes to stay inside, she likes to stay in the warm, and she won't do anything unless you make a really big deal of it. So, you're such a good girl, Suze. Good girl. And what we're doing at the moment is we're trying to teach her to present her chest so that I can listen to it with a stethoscope, so that if she does ever suffer from any sort of physical problems or any sort of lung congestion or anything like that, then hopefully we'll be able to listen to her chest and make sure that she's healthy and all that kind of thing, won't we? Oh, good girl. There we go. Good girl, Susie. OK, so we'll have a go. OK, Susie, chest.
All of this attention is optional.
Good girl. That was...
And Susie can walk away at any time. But with grapes as a reward for cooperating, she decides to stick around.
She seems to get quite a lot of stimulation out of it, and she seems to enjoy the contact with the keepers and obviously the amount of grapes she can be rewarded with. So all round it's interesting for her and it's beneficial for her health. OK, Kuna. Hand?
This form of training gives Holly the chance to inspect everyone for cuts and grazes. And she also gets to check out mum-to-be, Pakita, and her unborn baby.
Hand?
Woolly monkeys' pregnancies last for around 5 months. And although it's hard to pinpoint when Pakita fell pregnant, Holly suspects that she is long overdue.
Pakita's still not had her baby. She's keeping us all on tenterhooks. But as you can see, she lets us examine her bump every day, and we can, until she has enough, and we can feel where the lumps and bumps are. We can check that the baby's moving, and if it stops moving, we've got our little sort of emergency plan to make sure that her and her babies are OK.
Pregnant woolly monkeys in captivity can suffer from stress and high blood pressure, and this can cause complications during labour, known as preeclampsia. So Pakita may require surgery to deliver the baby.
If we find that the baby hasn't changed position for 2 or 3 days, then we'll start to worry and we'll either sedate her and give her a scan or actually perform a C-section caesarean. But at the moment, her baby bump is enormous, it's solid, and we don't really think she can get much bigger than she is.
But surgery will only be used as a last resort. Hopefully, Pakita will give birth naturally, and sometime soon. Back over at Hananya's chimp house, animal director Jeremy is still trying to get Ben to take his injection.
What about that? What you like? No, you're not allowed to eat it.
This will be the first dose of a course of antibiotics, and it's vital that Ben gets this medication to treat the bacterial infection to his foot.
You big Wendy. What you like?
But he clearly isn't keen on the idea.
Have it touched you? See? No, they're not. There.
And it looks like Jeremy's going to have to come up with another plan.
There. Just playing with this syringe here, it's just not going to happen. Whereas if I can lull him against the mesh and then one of the girls can trick him, possibly. We've got nothing to lose.
Keeper Hannah moves into position with the needle.
You turn around here. Cuddle me like that.
They've only got one chance to get it right.
What's about half of it?
Most of it went in, but as the wound is severe, Jeremy needs to ensure Ben takes the whole dose.
Actually, now would be a good time for me to while he's still fussing with that, I could attack him from a different angle.
So he relies on his unique relationship with Ben and just goes for it.
There you go. Let's go. There you go. He's had it all now. He's got that wound on his foot and he's making this big fuss about the finest little needle in the world.
Ben's going to have to put up with a lot more injections to treat his foot. So hopefully he'll get used to the needle sooner rather than later. But right now, Ben just needs a hug from his old friend.
I want to cuddle. I want to cuddle. I really want to cuddle. Poor little boy.
At Monkey World in Dorset, there's one small ape who's growing in confidence every day. And that's baby Bart.
Things are going really well. We're really pleased with how he's doing. He's developing really well. In comparison to some of the smaller monkeys, chimpanzees actually develop quite slowly. But in comparison to humans, they're much faster. So he can move around by himself. He can do chin-ups on the ceiling. He can find his own food. So he's doing brilliant. His canines are just starting to come through. So really, it's been quite a productive year for Bart. He's come a long way.
As a baby, Bart has a very privileged position within Paddy's group. And this is clearly signalled to the other chimps by the prominent white tuft on his rear.
Basically, it's there so the females can actually locate them. When they're in the forest, it means they can keep an eye on them, and it also is a sort of a signal of rank. As he grows up, that'll actually disappear, but whilst he still has it, he can actually go and take food off any members of the group. He won't really get disciplined by anyone, so he's sort of a hands-off animal, so no one will actually mess with him.
And the others in the group have worked out that it pays to be pals with the prince of the park.
So some of the lower-ranking individuals will spend time with him in his vicinity just to try and deflect the attentions of some of the more dominant individuals. Obviously, they won't do anything to them while they're holding on to Bart, so yeah, he can be quite a useful tool for the lower-ranking members of the group as well.
Not only have the lower-ranking members benefited from Bart's arrival, but it's also had an amazing effect on Mum Susie's popularity. In fact, the other chimps just won't seem to leave her alone. It looks like Susie is fast becoming the most popular chimp in the troop. Or is that second most popular? Later, orangutan Dinda has to overcome her fear of heights if she wants to get some of those treats. And just why is woolly monkey Pakita looking so tired?
Pakita looks absolutely worn out at the moment. She's had a pretty rough time and she's got bags under her eyes. She's sort of shuffling along.
Down at the Gibbon house, and golden-cheeked Gibbon youngster Tien is outside in the trees with Mum Peanut and Dad Pongyo, and he's growing up fast.
Tien has grown so much so quickly. He's just his father's spitting image now. He is far more independent. He's flying around in the trees. Peanut's having trouble keeping up with him and keeping him under control. He's been making some decisions for himself as well. If he wants to stay out and play a bit longer, Peanut has to chase him around to pick him up and bring him in for dinner. But he's grown fast and he's doing so well.
Golden-cheeked gibbons have one very special characteristic. As they grow in size, they also undergo a colour change. This trait is unique amongst apes. Both males and females are born blonde, which is good camouflage for the defenceless youngster as it clings to its mother's belly. But before the young males and females reach a year old, their fur starts to turn black. Tien began this transformation a while ago.
He started his colour change at about 8 months of age. We first saw the first whiskers. He sort of got a little black moustache and his chin was going dark. But those are the very first indications. So it's taken him quite a while to change colour.
But now, at 2 years old, his transformation is complete. And just like his dad, he'll remain black with those distinctive golden cheeks for the rest of his life. But the young females go one stage further.
The females go through a second colour change and end up completely blonde with just a black cap on the top of their head.
Tien's mum, Peanut, went through this transformation 4 years ago. Over 11 months, she went from black through a brindled colour to golden. Tien may still be dependent on his mum, but now there's no mistaking who's who. Over on the other side of the park in the orangutan creche, most of the youngsters are high up on the ropes, tucking into today's treat. Sticky jam and peanut butter has been smeared high up on the poles and ropes. An orangutan's natural home is up high in the treetops. But the youngest of this group, 2-year-old Dinda, has her feet firmly on the ground. She's always been scared of heights. The idea is that by placing treats high up in the enclosure, it'll encourage the youngsters to learn climbing skills that they would have learnt from their mothers in the wild. And while most of them are budding gymnasts, Dinda needs a little more encouragement to overcome her fear of heights. But she's not getting it from foster mum, Ame. She's too busy up there helping herself to as much as she can get. It doesn't matter how hard Dinda licks, there's nothing down there. So if she's going to get a taste, she'll have to head up high. Little by little, she moves up the ropes. And before long, she's done it. She's licked her way to the top of the enclosure. It looks like peanut butter and jam may actually be the perfect cure for vertigo. In the woolly monkey house, and there is wonderful news. The big event that the park has been waiting for has finally happened. Pakita has given birth to a healthy baby boy.
Pakita looks absolutely worn out at the moment. She's had a pretty rough time and she's not been a mum before, so this all takes quite a lot of getting used to for her, and she looks very tired. She's got bags under her eyes. She's sort of shuffling along, trying to learn how to be a mum and how to support the baby, and it'll take a while for her to get her rest back, but she's doing okay.
There have now been 6 woolly babies born here at the park. Unfortunately, not all the mothers have cared for their offspring, and some have had to be hand-reared. But so far, things are looking positive for Pakita. Although this is her first baby, and it's only a few hours old, she's giving every indication that she's going to be a good mother.
We're keeping a very close eye on her, but at the moment all of the signs are very good. She's caring for the baby, she's carrying it round. We've heard sucking noises, which may be suckling, but again, we don't want to make assumptions, but it's going to the toilet as well, which is a good sign that milk is passing through it. She seems to have really good mothering instincts. She's constantly checking he's okay, perhaps even more than she needs to. She's cleaning him, and every time she moves around, she's sort of super cautious. If she needs to hang on with her tail, she supports him with one arm, and if her tail's free, she'll tuck it between her legs and press him up to her belly. So as far as his safety goes, I think he's doing pretty well.
As with all newborns, Pakita's youngster is extremely vulnerable, but Holly knows what signs to look out for if things begin to turn for the worse.
As far as the baby's health goes, we want to make sure that it's strong, that it's holding on well. Pakita's got very long abdominal fur that it grows specifically so that babies can cling on to their mothers. We want to make sure that it's clinging on tightly, it's not just her supporting the baby. And naturally their tail is in a spiral shape, and if that spiral starts to drop out and its tail becomes limp or its head starts to roll back, it's a good indication that it's not feeding, it's becoming weak, and we might have to step in. But at the moment, none of that's happening. The baby's clambering about. It's even been on Pakita's back, which they're not supposed to do. And it's been back again, and they're getting on very well. And at the moment, things are looking quite positive.
Holly has built up a trusting relationship with Pakita, and the new mum is happy to allow Holly to check over the baby.
Physically, he's quite small. His body size is quite small, but for some reason his hands and feet are absolutely huge, and his tail is enormous. But given the size of his mother, she's a very big woolly monkey, and his dad, Lavar, is enormous as well. Perhaps it's like with puppies, if your puppy has enormous feet, you know it's going to grow into a big dog. So we're thinking we're going to end up with quite a big woolly monkey.
At the moment, Pakita seems to be the perfect mum. But it's still early days, so Holly will be spending lots of time with Pakita in case they have to step in. Next time. It's a race against time as Ben's infection seems to be spreading to the other chimps.
If you can get them on the right antibiotics, and if they leave them alone, there's every chance they'll heal up. But there are two big ifs there.
The orangutans are watching their weight.
So we got about 15 kilos there.
And the lemurs and macaques meet for the very first time.
Even though those guys don't really belong together, if it's good for the remaining years for those individuals, why not give it a go?